One of America's best-known and longest-serving TV presenters has been suspended after claims that he made unwanted sexual advances towards women. Charlie Rose has apologized for what he calls his inappropriate behavior. 8 women have told the Washington Post that the veteran journalist sexually harassed them through lewd phone calls, inappropriate touching, and sometimes walking around naked in their presence. Going to stay in the US for the moment because the Department of Justice will sue to block a proposed $85 billion takeover of Time Warner by AT&T. Now, Time Warner is the parent company of the cable news network CNN, which has been the target of continual criticism by President Donald Trump. Could that be why, then? Well, Geraint is an author, former stockbroker, newspaper columnist known as Cityboy, and joins me now. Geraint, good to see you back here. So what do you think? I mean, it looks on the surface of it as it's a big deal, $85 billion in
massive.
any case. Not necessarily one that immediately springs to mind as likely to be an issue of monopoly.
That's right. Usually you have antitrust issues, a competitor is removed from the market, the consumer suffers, therefore, and that would be the standard reason why you would block a merger of this type. But this is a media company, principally with an internet telecoms company. It's vertical integration, and therefore it does beg the question: why has the DOJ sought to potentially block this? And the interesting thing about this, I think, is not so much the story is interesting, of course, and we all think that Trump is doing it because of the fact that Time Warner owns CNN, and he hates CNN because they say fake news. But if there was a story that Obama had actually chosen to try and block this, no one would have taken it seriously, because he was a man who respected the rule of law. He was not this sort of thin-skinned, petulant, petty, vengeful sort of head of a mafia family, as Trump seems to be acting like. And so to me, it's indicative how we've moved from the sublime to the ridiculous in terms of the US presidency, which is a crying shame, because they should be a beacon of light in this world. And instead, to me and to many others out there in the world, it's just a beacon of disaster and awfulness.
Well, okay, fine. You're making a very strong point there about all things Trump, it sounds like. I mean, there has been a precedent of sorts with Comcast being taken to task, not least by AT&T, I think, a few years ago, about 5 years ago now. So there is precedent of sorts, and maybe it's not a bad thing to be questioning these big mergers.
Absolutely. It's just, strikes me that the specifics of this case do not add up. It strikes me that the conspiracy theorists, who generally I do not believe in this particular case, he did actually appoint the head of the Justice Department. He has expressed on numerous occasions